Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. I'm going to react to it. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You deserve it. We all deserve therapy. Let's watch the show.
You always do that to me. You ask me, okay, what the solution? The solution is what I wanted to do to begin with. Not
because
get married.
Everything I tell you, everything we can't. What we do now?
You have given me nothing except for I not have solution.
All right, so they're continuing a conflict that they have been working on for a while now, last episode into this episode. Makes sense. It's a tense situation. There's a lot to work out, a lot at stake. And for Zied, he's saying, look, I want to marry you and I want to get married. I mean, he isn't actually saying that. I think that might be what Rebecca is looking for, is some kind of love, some kind of intention, some kind of intensity around hoping for a solution. I think from Rebecca's standpoint, she's looking at him thinking that he doesn't care. He seems very subdued, as if he doesn't care. But if I were to summarize what I think is going on in their hearts and minds, is for Zied, he's like, I want to marry you, and I want to get married sooner than Ramadan so that it won't screw up our living arrangement. But if we don't get married before Ramadan, then I'm going to have to go somewhere else for a bit. And then when I come back, then we can get married during that time. Or we could get married during Ramadan. Is that okay as well? Maybe that's okay. They can get married during Ramadan. Anyway, so he's wanting to get married earlier than later. And I think from the outside, from my perspective, which I'm not a part of these people's lives, that would make a lot of sense, particularly given the pandemic situation, things shutting down, even if they did wait. I mean, of course, we know this now. They didn't know it then, that if they waited, it's not likely that things are going to improve in terms of being able to have she wants to have a big wedding with all the fixins and all the people and all the things. So she wants that. And so from her point of view, it makes sense that she wants the big wedding. She wants the big special wedding, and that's totally fine. A lot of people really want that. And according to her, she can't have it in the next few weeks because it doesn't have enough time, and that she wants him to budge on Ramadan in that way. One, at the very least, to stay living with her, and two, so I guess they can plan the wedding. I'm not exactly sure on that. And maybe even if they wait until after Ramadan, does he have to go back to Tunisia if they don't get married in that time? I don't know. But I think what emotionally is happening in this moment, because I think Zied and Rebecca are both reasonable people, but I think what is happening emotionally for them is that Rebecca is saying, I do not want to get married before Ramadan. I want to get married, I guess, during Ramadan. One, because I want a big wedding. Two, you did not tell me before you got here, so I don't think it's fair that I have to completely give up my dream wedding because you failed to tell me something so that I could properly prepare for it. I think from her, another emotional thing that's happening for her is that I think Zied has taken this tact with her where he is saying, look, I'm in a foreign country, I'm in a foreign land, I don't understand the rules, I can't even get a job, I feel pretty helpless in this situation. I do want to marry you, but I don't know anywhere to get married. I don't understand the customs in this country. If we were in my country, there would be a whole process, and I would know, but I don't know what to do here. So I'm going to be real passive, and I know that you're real intense around this. I've told you where my boundary is around Ramadan, and so I guess I'm just going to wait for you to figure out a solution that you want to do. I'll go with, as long as you understand my rules about Ramadan, I'll do whatever you want to do. But he's not communicating that, at least in the scenes that we're seeing. What he's saying is just like, well, what's your solution? What are you going to do? And he's not even asking with a lot of intensity. And I wonder how Rebecca would react if Zied said something like, honey, I want to marry you desperately. Believe me. This is my dream in my life. I'm terribly sorry I didn't tell you about Ramadan. I should have. It slipped my mind, or I was worried you're going to get upset about it. That's on me, and that's my fault. I don't know the rules or the customs in this land. I don't know what to do. I just know I have to follow Ramadan, and I hope you can respect that. But let's work together on this. Let's try to figure out a solution. Okay. I wonder if Rebecca, if she saw that, even though it's the same message, but it's communicated in a different way, I wonder if it would inspire her to feel like Zied is on board and is dedicated to her and dedicated to getting married. because I think what's happening for Rebecca, and she's confirmed this, is that in his apathy, or his seeming apathy, which I think is not actual apathy. I think he's just like, I'm helpless here. I don't know what to do. I'll just do whatever you want. And she's interpreting that as true apathy, meaning that he doesn't care about her. He doesn't care about getting married. That's triggering her. It's reminding her of her past relationships. Now she's getting angry and hostile with him, getting a tone with him. So let's see how they work this out.
Ramadan, it's month, the people, the Muslim, it's so close for my God. And you can't do any fault this month. That's so bad.
Okay, so this is good. He's explaining himself. He's explaining to her. And of course, how would she understand that? From her perspective, he has all these different rules, some of which he has budged on. So why can't he budge on this? And he's saying, no. Ramadan is a much bigger deal. Yeah, I've budged on these other things, but Ramadan, I cannot budge on that. And it's so bad. I wonder if he could elaborate that a little bit. If I were there in the room, I would say, okay, it's so bad, Zied. What do you mean by that? What bad thing might happen? I don't know. But Zied might say something like, if I break Ramadan, I might literally not go to heaven. Or I might literally be struck dead, or God will punish me. And I think God is okay with me budging on these other rules, but not this one. I cannot. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about my spirituality. I'm worried about my family. If I budge on this, it's terrible. Or maybe Zied would say, if I budge on Ramadan, my entire family and community will hate me for the rest of my life. They will see this as a total black mark on my religiosity, on my religious dedication, and they will never recover from that. They'll budge on the other things, us living together prior to being married, and that's a stretch right there. But this one, it will devastate. Maybe if you were to explain what he means by, that's so bad. But this is good, and so maybe Rebecca can understand it. Now, I hope that he can also communicate, honey, I do desperately want to marry you. Make no mistake about it. I am here to marry you, and I want to figure out a way to do this, but I can't break Ramadan. That's the only thing. Anything else, ask me anything else I can do.
You can't drink. You can't stay with your girlfriend in one home. You can't, I don't know.
So you're a strict Muslim 1 month out of the year?
Eesh. So, Rebecca, come on. I know you're better than this. He's trying to explain to you. He's trying to help you understand. I mean, it'd be one thing for Rebecca to say something like, okay, I hear you, but I don't understand why it's only 1 month out of the year. Can you, to be more open, you can be skeptical. You'd be like, I don't know if that makes sense to me, but understand that there are a lot of things about Islam that aren't going to make sense to you, Rebecca, because you didn't grow up in that culture. And so maybe having a more curious stance. Now, she can be angry and she can be hurt, but that's she basically was being sarcastic in that moment. And that is something that a lot of people do. And actually, when I see it in my office, I actually call it out. When people do that kind of behavior, I'm like, Rebecca, are you being sarcastic? It sounds sarcastic. Can you word it in a different way? I really try to get people away. It's essentially like calling someone a name. And we see Zied's face. He's just like, I opened up and I was trying to explain something from my heart of what's important to me, and you didn't hear anything I had to say. So I will call that out in my office. I'll say, name calling or sarcasm or just overt hostility or stonewalling. It's not okay. It's okay for Rebecca to feel confused. It's okay for Rebecca to feel worried. It's okay for Rebecca to be hurt and angry that he didn't tell her about this earlier. It's okay for her to feel disappointed and slightly demoralized that she can't have the wedding that she wants. That's okay. But to be sarcastic towards her fiancé who's trying to explain himself, that's not constructive. Let's just put it that way.
I want a being beautiful life. I am here for this, I am travel here for marry you.
Do you understand that it's not that I don't want to marry you? My goal when you got here was to spend as much time with you as possible before we got married.
Okay, So that adds a wrinkle to the equation. I did not know that. I thought, a lot of the couples on this show are like this, and people who actually go through the K1 process will comment below or email me and say the people on this show are not representative of everyone that goes through the K1 visa process. Usually what happens is, and I actually personally know people that went through this, they date, they long distance relationship, they visit each other, they propose, and then maybe even months later, maybe years later, then they begin the K1 process. So they've established they want to get married, they're in love, there's no ambiguity for the most part, and now it's just a matter of the formality of the K1. And on the show, the way they treat it is the 90 days is the dating period. That's when you're deciding, do I or don't I want to marry this person? And that puts way too much pressure on any couple to decide something in such a short amount of time. It's also an artificial landscape because, one, you're not really living together truly because you just moved into with each other, and there's the cameras around, you're on a TV show. So it's not conducive to really getting to know. But anyway, she is now saying, Rebecca is saying, that, look, one of the reasons why I don't want Ramadan to happen and have you move out temporarily and get married early is because I'm still unsure if I want to marry you because I don't trust you. And I need the full 90 days or 80 days to assess whether or not I can trust you or not. So, because if that was her plan, there's another way to do that, which is just to not enter the K1 visa process and just continue to do a long-distance relationship, visit each other or something. The pandemic would absolutely limit that, but I don't think they know that at this point, obviously. So that's interesting. Now, we saw, just another point I want to make, we saw Zied say, I'm here to marry you. I want to live a beautiful life. But he's not being real enthusiastic, right? He's saying it in this kind of dry, subdued way, which I don't think is inspiring confidence in Rebecca. But I don't know if there's anything you can say. Rebecca seems real rigid right now. And I'm going to assume, based on her statements and based on the variety of differentiation levels she's exhibited over the 2 seasons, is that right now and this week she's very triggered. She is terrified, which makes sense, of having a similar situation that's happened in her past. I don't think that her second marriage was her only bad relationship. I think she's been in a lot. And I think as the closer and more real this becomes, the more scared she is, which of course makes sense. And Zied's taken it like a champ, seemingly on camera. But it makes sense that she's upset. But I wish that she would slow down and say, okay, what's going on with me? Okay, I think I'm really scared. What do I need to do to reassure myself? Do I need to call it off? Do I need to say, you know what? I don't think there's any road forward, especially given Ramadan, where I'm going to feel like I really trust you. So, you know what? Let's call it off. Let's revisit this later on. Be nothing wrong with that. I also think that I think she can trust Zied. I don't know, but it seems like she can. In the 2 seasons we've seen them, Zied doesn't exhibit, at the very least, the kind of behaviors we see in other couples on this show. So I wonder if she had someone to talk to, someone to vent with, or if Zied was a little bit better with, of course, his English is second language for him. But I wonder if she had more of a place to process this, that she might be able to soothe that anxiety and make a more differentiated decision.
That's the whole purpose of the visa. So don't make me feel guilty because I want exactly what this is for.
I don't know. I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that's not true, Rebecca. The 90 days, I don't know, from what I've heard from people who've been through it, the 90 days is not a trial period to see if you are truly in love. That might be the way the show is oriented. I believe the 90 days, from people who have told me, is it's 90 days to you've already decided you're going to get married. The 90 days are time to make arrangements for the wedding. You have to book a venue and invite people and whatever. There's various different things you can do. Now, for a lot of weddings, 90 days would not be enough time. But at the very least, the government's just like, look, here's 90 days. If you can't get manage to get the ceremony done in that 90 days, there's something wrong with you, that kind of thing. So it seems like Rebecca might not really understand what the purpose is. Now, she can use it for that purpose, but I would argue against her that that's the general purpose, because I don't think that that's true.
This is just a lot to take, and I'm not happy about it.
I know that's difficult, but I promise if we can go with the court or married after the coronavirus, maybe go in Tunisia and having beautiful wedding, make you happy, make me happy too.
2 thumbs up to the two of them. Rebecca is saying, okay, yeah, I do want to marry you. It sounds like she's coming to a more differentiated place. And then good on Zied. He's like, okay, I agree. And Rebecca does this really well. She said, it's just really difficult for me. It's really disappointing, or I can't remember the word she used, but she's sad about the way that it's going to work out. And that's good. She's not saying, I'm disappointed because you're an a-hole. She's just saying, I guess, I'm just disappointed. And that's a very healthy way to communicate your feelings. You're owning it. You're recognizing. You're not shaming yourself. You're not being accusatory. And good on him, because Zied's just like, yeah, I know it's difficult. I'm with you on that. But if we just go to the court now, then we'll have we'll figure it out. There'll be a beautiful wedding down the road, and you'll be happy and I'll be happy. I want the same thing that you do. That's what he said. He said, I want a beautiful wedding too. So we're on the same page, but we're both facing the same obstacles, and how are we going to work together on this? So it's good on Zied for communicating that.
We have 8 days. We have to find a place to get married.
Go with the court.
We can't go in the court. The governor shut the government down right now. So they're closed. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do this. Hopefully there's a way.
Okay, so they can't go to the court. I do know of people who actually managed to get married even though everything was shut down. You can, I believe, still have as someone who's designated as able to preside over a wedding. I'm actually one of those people. I went online and became a minister of some online church so that I could marry some friends of mine. And by the way, some of you have actually emailed me and asked to hire me in that way. I don't do that sort of stuff anymore. It's lovely, but it's not my strong suit. There's a lot of skills you need to have. I appreciate you asking, but I'm sorry. But anyway, for them, if they found someone like that, I believe, and they had 1 or 2 witnesses, and they were all social distanced, 20 feet apart, and they went to a venue, I think it can be done. So maybe that's in the cards for the two of them. If you haven't yet become a patron of the podcast, you can do so now by using the link below. You can go to patreon.com, become a patron of our podcast. That's how we know you like what we are doing here. That's the main way we know. Every time someone becomes a patron, I get an email, and it truly does warm my heart that people would take that step to actually support us in that way. So do that if you want to. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.